There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and the podcast. How are you this morning? How was your weekend? Que tem feito? We'll talk more in Portuguese with James when he arrives at 9 this morning, talking about immigration fatigue, something he was hoping to shoehorn into our conversation last Monday. But he didn't get the chance. You know what it's like when we get chatting. So we're going to do it justice this morning. Immigration fatigue with James Holley, who today is known as Slow Hand or Foot. Thank you, Pointer Sisters. I need a lover with a slow hand, not come and go in a heated rush. That's right. Tantra in soul music. Well done, James. See you at 9 to talk more about immigration fatigue. How's everyone doing this morning? Good to see you here. Oh, look. Sweden, Portugal, Anna. Bon dia alegria. Finally back in Villarreal de Santo Antonio. How is that for you to be back in VRSA? I imagine it's a little bit warmer for you. One layer weather. It's all relative, isn't it? Thank you for your lovely pictures and images that came from Sweden while you were there. Good to have you back in the country, Anna. Thank you very much indeed for being here this morning. Ocean Dweller Aviva also here this morning. Hola, bon segunda. Morning to you, Aviva. How are you? How's life over there in Madeira this morning? And I've had a picture from you for a little while. Happy Monday from Pinky. Morning to you, Pinky. 913-590-303. If you do want to send any images, and John Heimbach has been busy doing so, as has Peter Bleach. Peter sent some very interesting images. I'm going to put a little bit of a quiz to you first of all, and just based on Pete's pictures that were sent in this morning. Thank you, on 913-590-303. Just a few pictures from an amazing trip to Lusitania, which included all of Portugal, the former capital of Lusitania. Where's he been? Where's he been? What would be the place that Peter's been to in Portugal? Well, actually, that's a mistake to say that, which is a little bit of a clue. But I'm going to show a few pictures from Lusitania's former capital. That's where Pete's been this weekend. Where might that have been? Do have a little stab at that in the chat there, and see if you can let me know where you think the former capital of Lusitania, which, as Pete, former history teacher, as Pete pointed out there, was the former capital of Lusitania, which included all of ancient Portugal. Morning all from Owen. How are you, Owen? Lovely video from you too. Thanks, mate. Not a lovely video from you two, as in Sunday, bloody Sunday. No, it's I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Morning, Owen, and a lovely video from you as well. And we're going to play that because it's a wonderful cataplana recipe that you brought to life. Thank you very much indeed. So looking forward. I might have a little drink of my coffee. Should Mrs. M make me one this morning whilst watching that? It's a nice illustrated how to make a cataplana and how you made a cataplana over the weekend. Look really good, mate. Thank you very much for that. With an unexpected and very beautiful surprise during that video and during your weekend as well. So what else have you been up to this weekend? We've got video from John as well, John Heimbach in Lagos, down there in the south. Very great, very good video. Thank you very much to you, John. And the pictures of the Irish wolfhounds as well. Let me show you that now. The Irish wolfhounds, quite extraordinary. Dwell on this for a moment, this picture from John down there in the Algarve. Those are extremely small people and chairs, or those are huge dogs. And those are the sort of dogs, aren't they? If they saw a cat, would sort of have you at parallel to the ground as they run off with you, with one in each arm. They're Irish wolfhounds in Lagos over the weekend there, as spotted by John, and pictures sent in as well as videos on 913-590-303. Thank you very much indeed, John. We'll get to all of these before 9 o'clock. And if we don't, we'll play them after James has arrived, because I'm sure James would like to have a little vicarious look around Portugal, or should I say the Iberian Peninsula, given the quiz question I gave you from Pete as well this morning. Who's coming to Coimbra? Well, that's done and dusted. The dust is settling, as are the fumes of real ale that I suspect the janitorial staff of the Coimbra Municipal Mercado, or Mercado Municipal, this morning or late last night will have been mopping up. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant event. It was lovely to be there, and a few gumpers did assemble there. Great to see you. Well, I got a lovely lift and a chat with Christina and John on the way over there. So thank you very much for giving me a lift. Great to see you, by Randy and Chris. Mike and Karen came over from Miranda de Corvo. Karen blamed me, dobbed me in to Philomena, said, I won't be coming to carnival practice tonight because Carl's got me drinking beer in Coimbra. Should have seen the emoji I got for that. Wasn't me, Philomena, honestly. I will see you soon, Philomena. And this was one of the early images I captured. That's in front of the screen of beers. It was a roll call of honor. It was the menu, basically. Behind that beer is a lovely orange screen, and that was the color scheme chosen for this festival, Strong Beers Festival de Inverno. Oh, and I've got my little tasting cup here. You don't have a pint, do you, when you go to a real ale festival? You have a little third of a pint pot here, which I drank many delightful beers from. That was my first. I think I went straight in for an American pale ale, which may have, some of these beers may have hurt my throat, as you can hear. Excuse me. And one of the many highlights was meeting this chap. And there's a story behind his shirt as well. Portuguese Pedro, he's a bit of a legend. I think he was one of the first people to have a craft beer bar in Coimbra, which he runs to this day. And I think he was involved with Praxis, as you can see on the label there. Very early on, they're the daddy, I think, of craft beer brewing in Coimbra. And they liked what he did so much that they named a beer after him. And I've never met somebody who's had a beer named after them, I don't think. Talking of which, I believe I've had a cocktail named after me. Thank you, Johnny Cocktail. Really looking forward to trying that. Truly honoured. So thank you very much indeed. Lovely to receive that message that the testing is complete and it's perhaps official that I have a cocktail named after me. So what an amazing weekend. I met a man who had a beer named after him. And there it is there, Portuguese Pedro, an APA. And his shirt, you can buy his merchandise, which includes a lot of American vintage and retro stuff in his shop, which probably is near, if not the same building as his bar. And you can ride around in his vintage American car around the town as well. Now, have I still got the bits of paper in my pocket? You know what it's like when you go to an event, people stuff things in your pocket, or you stuff things in your own pocket. Yes, let me show you this. His shop is called Kula Bula, and he promises experiences of a lifetime. And there's the vehicle that you can ride around Coimbra in. He owns that vehicle there. Retro shopping, good old music. I think there's some rockabilly music going on there. He's loving the sort of 50s vibe of the United States there. Tasting craft beers. So if you want to visit Coimbra, I would put Kula Bula if you like retro. And what a treat to have a ride around in his old vehicle. So there you go. Pedro, who had a beer named after him. And he wasn't the only wonderful character there. We met a fantastic guy called Guido from the Bila Brewery, who told us some great stories. So, of course, the Englishman, the Irishman, and a German man. So Edward was with me and Bobby as we wandered around the beer festival. And we met Guido from the Bila Brewery. Do you know why it's called the Bila Brewery? It's because it's from Villarreal. And people in the north don't say their V's like Villarreal. They will say Villarreal. And that's why he's called his brewery Bila. And we heard some fantastic stories from him and many other really diligent and passionate brewers up there. So well done. Oh, and Gustavo, of course, and Joao, the organizers. We went outside and filmed outside the market because it was getting a bit noisy. And we filmed in the open air with Gustavo and Joao. organisers of the Strong Beers Festival. And this is this kind of, not a side festival exactly, but this is the smaller one of the two festivals that they have each year. The big one will be in September, and we'll be there for that. So if you fancy joining us, if you couldn't make it this time. Oh, Pete was there as well. Pete and, was it Paul you were with? They are the beer, they dress up as monks and go around the country drinking. And it was like, oh, Peter and Paul. When are Matthew, Mark, Luke and John turning up? Great to see you, Pete, and looking forward to your festival in Castanheira de Pera again, just before the Coimbra Festival in September. So it's looking like we can have a beer drinking event soon in Portugal every month, if not every weekend, within about 5 or 10 years. And don't forget, we've got a craft beer corner starting next Wednesday? I think it might be. Yes, it is. Next Wednesday, the 7th of February, will be the return of Owen, and we'll play Owen's video in just a moment, because Owen, of course, the food alchemist, will come and talk to us about Portuguese food and may even do some cooking demos. And James from the, oh my goodness, too much drinking, shouting, and having a good time on Saturday at the Coimbra Beer Festival there. Yeah, James from the Anson Brewery, who wasn't there at the weekend. They're in a refit in Lourinhã. But James from the Anson Brewery in Lourinhã will be the host of Craft Beer Corner on that first Wednesday of February, the upcoming month as well. So let me play Owen's video now. We'll have a sip of water. A couple of minutes of Portuguese cataplana. If you've ever wondered what that was, sit back and enjoy this. And there's a real treat as well during this video.
Seafood cataplana. This is featuring prawns, lobster tail, hake, mussels and clams. For the base of the sauce, I roasted the red peppers, tomatoes with garlic and thyme. Pan roasted the green peppers and added it to the now made tomato and pepper sauce. Closed the lid and let it stew for a while. I seasoned the hake fillets with salt and pepper and olive oil and placed it in the water bath for 30 minutes. It was now then time for me to add the clams to the mussels, garlic, and then I added garlic, lime, prawns, and I served it all in the cataplana with a bunch of parsley. And the hake fillet was finished off with a pistachio mayo crust. Tonight's wine was the Adega Ponta de Lima Lourinhã Vinho. And then we also had the Solheiro Alvarino in 2022. Finished with my favourite chocolate milk pudding with a raspberry and strawberry sauce. The evening meal began with a song from a local choir, which I believe they were singing about joy and friendship, which made a great story when we could all sit down at the dining
Isn't that lovely? Turning up outside your front gate and singing a song about friendship. Now, is that, Antonio, good morning to you. Bom dia a todos. Is that to cantar as janeiras? Is that singing in January and a little bit later on in the month, I wonder? But isn't that beautiful? Thank you very much, Owen. Beautiful video, wonderful food. and a lovely song to finish in. Looks like you had a great weekend, my friend there. Excellent. Pam's also in. Loads of people here this morning. Good morning to you all. I just want to address very quickly Erica's question. Erica, quite new to the community. Can't figure out how the different expat groups are connected, but so far this is the most fun info stream I've found. Well, hey, thank you very much for that, Erica. With only 1 week's experience, I've enjoyed this show. Well, you're very welcome, and it's great to have you here. You did send me a question, I think, about how I'm connected with Expats Portugal. Of course, integrally connected with Expats Portugal over the last 2 or 3 years. And if you look at Expats Portugal's YouTube channel, you'll see me on there presenting the Good Morning Portugal show. We went independent, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. And I still host the Expats Portugal weekly webinars, which you may enjoy as well, Erica. A good one coming up. Well, I say a good one, an important one, it's Taxes 101, Expats Portugal's webinar this week. We'll talk to Jackie about it on Wednesday, but we have a very close and excellent working relationship, Good Morning Portugal and Expats Portugal, independent organizations, but on the same page. And I am the host of their weekly webinars and the Dream Team session, which follows the webinar on a Thursday evening. Hope that clears that up for you. And I mean, that's just two, though, isn't it? Good Morning Portugal, Expats Portugal. Then you go on to Facebook, and there are loads of others as well, plus all the YouTube channels. And what I like to do here, I don't see myself really in competition with any of the other groups. If any of them are saying anything interesting or useful, they're welcome to come onto the show and talk about it. So I think, the more the merrier. You choose what works best for you. Good morning. We had a great time seeing everyone at the Strong Beer Festival. Good to see you there, Michael and Karen. Oh, and a nice little plug here from João do Norte. If anyone is in need of a car hire in Lagos and vicinity, I highly recommend Lush Car. €30 a day. Fantastic. That's a good deal, isn't it? Including insurance in and out, 15 minutes and top mark service. One of those no-nonsense insurance companies, not the ones who you think might be working on a little bit of an insurance scam with you and want to terrify you, then get you to sign up for some insurance and then tell you when you arrive, when you bring your car back, these scratches weren't here on the alloy wheels when you took this out. Oh, they were. No, they weren't. And sometimes it can be a bitter experience. Sounds like you've had a fantastic experience. I'd recommend Zest as well, who you can find on our Portugal Club pages. Oh, that's the other thing, Erica. Sign up for our Portugal Club as well if you want a whole lot more information, the what and who to know for a great life here in Portugal. Find out more at gmpvip.com. Right, let's go to Pete's Pickies now. And this former capital of Lusitania, which included all of Portugal, of course. And this is, well, I'll tell you what the name of the place after we've had a look at the pictures. There's Pete in the bathroom on arrival. Not really. That's left over from last Friday, isn't it? And an option I was sharing with Mrs. M in our visualization book for our dream home. But she's not interested. Funny enough, she's not interested. So nothing to do with Pete Bleach. This, I believe, is Pete in the former capital of Lusitania. Oh, look at that. Bridges, ancient and modern, behind you there, Pete. And then this looks like a possible a hostage swap on a bridge, doesn't it? Or some sort of a John le Carré movie scene here. The Foggy Bridge. Where you're handing over prisoners, perhaps there. Nice boots, Pete, as well. There and some ruins in this wonderful place. Now, they've popped across the border. Here's another clue for you. And Pete suggesting, as we can see here, that these are some of the most romantic ruins in the Iberian Peninsula. Nice and foggy, too. Look at that. What an amazing place. Thank you, Pete. Thank you for thinking of us. There's Di. Both got your nice boots on for the weekend. 913-590-303 for any pictures and videos. That looks like an awesome visitor centre there. They are in Spain for this. Oh, and some caves. A little bit of a dungeon business going on there. And another long shot there. This is a fabulous place. Has anyone guessed what it is yet? Another foggy bridge shot. The sun trying to come through and burn away that fog. Oh, and there in its former glory, a model of the site that is being visited by Pete and Di there over the weekend, which I'm going to go back whilst I find that for you. Let's have a look at there we go, the ruins there. And these are, of course, this is Merida, which is where Pete and I were over the weekend. And Pete's saying just a few pictures from our amazing trip to Lusitania, which included all of Portugal, former capital Merida, just across the border in Spain. Stunning place to go with the most romantic ruins in the whole peninsula. Hope you had an awesome trip to Coimbra and lots of lovely beer. I did. And I think you and the family would love Merida, says Pete, especially if you catch a performance at the amphitheatre, which is still regularly used. How about that? Oh, Pick just coming in. There's me hanging my head in shame whilst being dobbed into Philomena. Is that right? In that picture there, Michael. So there you go. You might, if you're lucky, you might see a performance in this wonderful place that is Merida. I've never heard of that before, Pete, so thank you very much for sharing that with us. Let's go to the south of the country where the Heimbachs have been with friends in Lagos and vicinity. And the first of the videos here.
Look who's here.
That took some setting up, didn't it, John? Nice work there. Fantastic. Ladies at the top of the hill there after the fellas have walked down to the beach, possibly to see this.
Yeah, at high tide it would be a good 5 or 6 feet higher, and then they'd be mooring right at these little ropes.
Oh, so I was singing there. That's an earworm from the choir earlier on. That's fantastic. Are those the Benagil caves there that you've captured for us on video there, John? Thank you very much for doing so. Brilliant stuff. And yeah, more great words coming in from Lujka. So when you have service of that kind, it is great to shout that from the rooftops, as well as the rooftops. Oh, and another bit of video here from Merida. Thank you for your pronunciation note there, Antonio F. So cheers, John. Thank you. Lovely videos from the south. And going back to Spain for a moment, of course, there's only one R in Merida. So it wouldn't be Merida. It would be Merida with the accent on the first E. There you go. I think I've got that right now, Antonio F. Do let me know if I have or haven't. And here's a little bit more video for you. That is amazing. I want to stand in there one day and shout to the crowd up to the top, "Have I not entertained you enough?" Amazing. Wow. A reenactment of Gladiator possibly there in the Iberian Peninsula. Lovely job, Pete. Thank you very much for that. That's a great video. I'd love to pop that up on our YouTube channel, if I may, with your permission. That's a lovely little day trip from Portugal, isn't it? Into old Lusitania. Great stuff. Okay, we've I don't say, I'm not going to implicate you in this crime of forgetting the God Squad tip of the day. We will go to, well, James can do his own welcomes, but I'll share the first one with you. 8:14, he's going to be with us soon. Bom dia, Gampos. Feliz segunda-todos. Como foi o vosso fim de semana? Answer in the chat if you will. And we'll come back to his mindful moment and mindful dad joke a little later on. Loving those. Bon dia, all you lovely Gumpers. A little light child wrangling today before heading to Rome tomorrow. Is that the Eternal City? 3 days of exploring. Well, that's a nice little bit of a Roman foreplay for you there, thanks to Pete. 3 days of exploring before the rugby on Saturday. Very excited. That sounds like fun, Coach T. We've got Sweden, Portugal, Anna back in VRSA. And the God Squad tip of the day then. Just a little further tip on nutrition. You may recall the recommendation to eat 30 different plants a week, and that can include herbs and spices. How about using mixed versions? Mrs. M made some herbal tea. She's way ahead of this curve, Coach T. You're proud of her. That'll probably give you 5 different plants for each. Bingo! Using what? Mixed herbs. Okay, good tip. Thank you very much, Coach Turner there. Yeah, herbs and spices, very important. A little bit of variety is literally the spice of life when it comes to taking the coach's suggestion there. Superb. Okay, so morning, Pinky. Owen, Squire of the Shires. Nearly forgot you there. Morning, Squire. Bon dia todos. How are you this morning? Paddy is also here. Hola, bon dia. Snowstormy Iceland. 1 more week to go. My goodness. Jack is in. Jack Polly. I thought James might leap to attention there. He's obviously busy with other things and talking about immigration fatigue when he joins us in a few minutes' time. Greetings from the Algarve from Senor Ricardos. Greetings from the Algarve. Cloudy, but reaching 19 degrees today. What's this I hear? You're coming to Lulé in February. Well, I have shared that in one of our growing number of groups. Ben Austin, you're a legend. You created this, you set up the WhatsApp umbrella group on WhatsApp for me, and now we've been able to bring all the groups together. So you join the main group, and then if you want to learn more about San Martino lunches or coming to San Martino for the meetup or the Algarve or even a Bitcoin group on there, there's all sorts, something for everybody. So you're not lumped in one great big amorphous Good Morning Portugal organization. You can pick and choose the bits you want to belong to and enter groups, leave groups at will. So thank you very much, Ben. That's superb. And I shared the information about the Lulé Carnival that Jack Polly has invited me to. So I don't know yet. I've not made a decision to go for sure, Paul. Would you recommend it? Are you going to be going along to that? Bon dia from Sarah Yeoman. Good morning to you. And bon dia todos from John. And last full day in Lagos, back to Braga by 21:30. Thumbs up from James there. Thank you very much. And Ponte Lima by 2200. It sounds like John's got his clipboard out. Back to Braga, 21:30, and then Ponte Lima by 2200. Is that clear? Synchronize your watches. Gary Mills is also in from Wales. Bon dia, happy Monday. My favorite day of the week. Why is that then, I wonder? Is it because of Mindful Migration Monday, where you're going to be learning about immigration fatigue in just a moment? Sounds very good. Although Superbock and Sagres are lovely in the summer. Yeah, strong beers. It's different. It's apples and oranges. Absolutely. Nothing wrong. I've got no complaint about the session beers, the day beers of Portugal. You're absolutely right in the summer. So refreshing. It's great to have something less gassy than in the winter, however. Yeah, the Strong Beers Festival. Accordingly there, of course. And don't forget their summer festival in September as well. Who else has slipped in this morning who I haven't seen? Pam, did we say hello to you? I think we may have done. Good to have you here, Pam. And thank you for your contributions over there at the Portugal Club, gmpvip.com. More to say about Lujcar in just a moment. I love this little story that you've sent in. And I was in Coimbra from my checkup at the hospital. All is well with me. Excellent news, Pam. Well done. Whatever it is you're doing, keep it up. Keep up the good work there. And can someone give us a translation? I was told it is a sweet song of friendship. Antonio F., I think, will be all over it. Is that Evra? No, it was Merida. My car broke down. No, as I came off the motorway, driving through Coimbra with a rapidly failing clutch was not fun. Oh, I've had a rapidly failing clutch in your hometown of Alcobaça. Trying to get out of Alcobaça up and down the hills with very little clutch left is quite the challenge, especially when people pull out in front of you. I had to get some right old momentum to get out of the town. Mrs. M was in the car. She'll tell you what it was like. A bit of a white knuckle ride. But a phone call to the insurance resolved all quickly and easily. Pam, that's a really good point. If you have a breakdown here, you call the insurance company, don't you? You don't call something like the AA or the AAA or the RAC. Tell us more about the procedure, if you will. Pam, it is amazing. Merida, afraid that should be read as the most Roman ruins, not romantic, in the whole Iberian Peninsula. It is a wonderful place. Well, it looked romantic as well. I went in to ask Lujcar about returning the car prior to the train, and they said we could just park it in the station and leave the keys in the visor. Wow, that's Portugal for you in a nutshell. It is absolute trust there. Fantastic. Carl, don't worry about the Spanish. Just focus on your Portuguese pronunciation. Good morning, Portugal. Yes, we know where his allegiances lie, don't we? Currently drinking homemade blend. There we go. The herbal concoction that I mentioned. Nettles, dandelion, lemon balm, passiflora, peppermint, hypericum, and lots of other goodies. You know this phrase, like farting rainbows. It's pretty much like that. It's like farting aromatherapy for Mrs. M at the moment. It's my chill out immune strengthening tea. Need to go to Greece when you have Spain next door, says Joao de Nort. And did you have a look at Gliglish? Yes, I saw you added that to the it completely escapes me now what that's about. Or in American herbs. Yes, you say herbal, don't you, rather than herbal, in the correct way. I keep hearing you mention me and keep missing the references. Okay, before James joins us then, just a minute or so, James. What am I not interested? So just so you know, to put you out of any sort of a concern or a mystery here and any worry that you have about this, Mrs. M. And you'll be glad I showed you this one more time. I said I showed this to you as part of our sort of sketches for our dream home, but you weren't interested. It was this beautiful lovers lavatory arrangement. See, glad I showed you now. Okay, let's play his music. He's going to join us after this. We love this little moment, don't we? It's a moment of mindful anchoring, really. So enjoy the theme tune, the walk-on music, or the slide-on music of Slug's friend James. Hola, bom dia.
Bom dia.
Tudo bem?
Feliz segunda.
Feliz segunda, meu amigo. Look, let's let the memes do the talking, shall we? Look, this is you this morning. Want to give it a go?
Yes, that one I know quite well. O que tens feito?
Look, it's topical. Sim, muito bem, obrigado. Eu fui às cervejas fortes de Coimbra. Strong Beer Festival.
Sim.
The funny thing is, the Portuguese call it the Strong Beers Festival in English. So I had to translate that. So there you go. There's our little bit of vocab and response for you this morning. James, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Muito bem.
Here's a bit more Portuguese for you. Nando's. Somebody posted this up on the Portugal Club, and they were keen to try some Portuguese food.
Peri.
Yeah, before they got to Portugal. Now, Antonio F., I've never asked a Portuguese person what they think of Nando's. Nando's is one of the first tastes without really even knowing it. They don't make a big deal of it being Portuguese, I don't think, in the stores. The Barcelos cockerel's a bit of a giveaway. But what do Portuguese people think, I wonder, of Nando's? Such a good idea, but so much better when you get here. Have you ever tried Nando's, James?
And why peri, not piri?
Well, that's interesting. I think it does get spelt both ways around the world.
Okay. Well, but in Portugal, I've only seen it with the eyes, but anyway, just my curiosity. That's how my mind works.
Yeah, right. I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of that. That's well spotted. Peri sauce rather than piri there. And I think as well, this probably is for a Portuguese granddad or grandma looking at that, like garlic in it. What is going on here? I think they've taken it to a new level, which some people won't be entirely happy with. How was your weekend, my friend?
Fantastic. If I knew what a weekend was, but since you're asking about one of the days or some of the days, the answer is always the same.
I was referring to the last two, just out of courtesy, and I assume that would be your answer.
Yes. Yes, it was pretty much like most. Calm. The weather was beautiful. The first couple of days in a while that I haven't just been cold all day long, which was really nice. Yeah, what more can I say? Fantastic.
You don't have to say any more. You don't have to say any more. We've got if we talk a little bit more about Portuguese before we start talking about immigration fatigue, could be good. And that means I won't forget for a second week a meme I was going to show you last week. So let's group the Portuguese bits together here, the language that is. And Gliglish is an AI language tutor, but you actually speak to it, not typing like Chat GPT, which we talked about on Friday, of course. It's good for pronunciation practice as it types up what it hears you say. Now, that is interesting, isn't it? That's a development. And it was quite an education talking to Mrs. M on Friday about Chat GPT. Here's another application of... I wonder, why is it called Gliglish? I wonder. I don't really understand that, but here it is.
And why Chat GPT?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, true. I think that this is what happens when you leave the definitions and vocabulary to those in the tech industry, right? But I'm going to pop this into the chat so that you can have a go for yourself. AI Portuguese, anyone? Says Pam over at the Portugal Club. There has been some talk in Chat Club this week about Gliglish. That's the chat club that Pam runs. A website/app where you can speak to an AI teacher, in inverted commas. Yes, not a real teacher. It's handy for practicing your speaking and listening skills. But to be honest, I much prefer speaking to real people, which is such a lovely turn of phrase, isn't it? Yeah, but I mean, can you imagine that's a phrase that will change over time, won't it? Do you remember when you could talk to real people? Well,
well, yeah, and I mean, just a term like 40 years ago, that's pretty much all the only kind of people there were.
Yes, it's all relative though, isn't it?
As opposed to a not real people, like what? And that's brand new stuff when we're getting into technology and AI and interactions with virtual images and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and all the sides of it that come out that you never planned for, because that's the thing with technology, isn't it? You cannot know some aspects of it until it's released. You can imagine what's going to happen, can't you? And you can have your best guesses, and you know that people are going to weaponize it and use it for pornography. We can pretty much assume that. But then there are other bits, aren't there? Like the SMS. Nobody knew that was going to become a major messaging protocol, did they? I doubt if it was designed for the purpose which it became used for. And AI is going to be the same, isn't it? And all of this artificial intelligence.
Well, all technology, when you think about it, really, as it's developed, it generally starts as military weapons, or on the other side of it, it's the idea. No, the idea comes out, then it gets immediately converted to how can we weaponize it, and then it goes to how can we make money off it. And
exactly.
Radio, television, computer, it's all gone the way of advertising. That's where the money is. So
follow the money, honey. Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So AI is going to be out there selling us stuff before too long, if it hasn't already. Well, I mean, it already is, I'm sure, but in a more sophisticated way.
And another aspect, and another aspect with new technology is what you're experiencing now is what they developed, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ago. And the bits
20 years from now, we'll be laughing at how old and clunky it was.
And
it takes 20 years.
Right, and goodness only knows what's nearly available for release in the next few weeks, months, and years. Okay, so thank you very much for that, Pam. Much appreciated. People might want to try it. It all helps, doesn't it? It all helps to just have a little, it's better to be doing something than nothing when it comes to learning the language, for sure. Portuguese with Carla. I know people like Carla. And our friend, Mia Esmerish.
Yeah, I've heard her say. I believe I've heard her say Eshmerish with the
Mia Eshmerish. She sent me an email last night. Not personally, it was one of her circulars, but she always gives a lot of value, whether you have committed to her system or not. It's always worth opening her emails, and she'll give you a little bit of a prompt as well. This we're looking at here is Portuguese with Carla. Did you know that in European Portuguese, now and nein have different meanings? Now means no, while nein means not even. So look, now means no and is used to answer questions and create negative sentences. We don't do that very much, do we, James? Create negative sentences, but I see what you're saying.
Never. I never say anything negative. Oh, wait. No, wait. Stop it.
Whereas nay means not even or neither and has the idea of exclusion. Again, something which we would intuitively avoid unless absolutely necessary. And why does it say examples there? Nay penises. And oh, that says penises, not penises. Beg your pardon. Only you could rewind live programming sometimes.
Yeah,
Nay,
you do that with that word. I did gigglish when you got gliggish on there or whatever that other word was.
So let me just do that again then. Nay penises niso. Don't even think about it. Now that's a nice little phrase to have up your sleeve, isn't it? Nay penises niso. So there you go.
For me, my mind immediately went to, like sign, which is the opposite, with.
Oh, yes, very good, very good. Saint and name, nicely connected there. Nem a primeira, nem a segunda opção são boas. Neither the first nor the second option are good. So there you go. That's a lovely little meme there. Thank you very much. A little shout out for Portuguese with Carl.
And not to be confused with ninguém.
Of course not. And not to be confused with Portuguese with Carl, which perhaps we shouldn't recommend.
Well, as an advanced language instructor for Portuguese, probably not.
Probably not. There you go. Do my best.
But primary, basic.
Yeah, in the spirit of it all helps. Yes, then definitely. So there you go. There's our little gesture towards learning the language. Do a little bit and often all helps. Did you learn anything else at the market this weekend? You have
well, I wanted to say, actually, we didn't go to the market, but I wanted to say, and it is related to language. While I don't know that I call it giving you grief, it's not intended to be negative, but my coaching with the things that I hear consistently, and you roll with it very, very well, which is why I feel free to do it. But I have forgotten, and I made a comment last week that I have noticed that you do very well with the double R first R sound that many people struggle with. You get that gurgle in there really nicely. What I heard today on the if you're open to a little additional coaching on the pronunciation of the R,
go on.
Are you? Okay.
I would let you roll my R's anytime.
That a single R in the middle of the word is not, it's not gurgled, it's rolled. So it's r.
Merida.
So yeah, Merida, not Merida. That would be two R's. So
Merida. I mean, no. I didn't say that.
That's something different. And even that would be still be rolled. It would be Merida. Yes. One R, roll. Two R's.
That will get people learning the language. If we do naughty words, if we do a naughty words masterclass, loads of people will turn up for that. They always
Absolutely.
do. Yeah,
yes. I have a Mexican friend who knows 3 or 4 languages now from all the places she's been, and she says, I always learn how to swear first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember when I was a teenager, me and my pals, we met some Dutch girls in Hyde Park one day, and we left with some really spicy vocabulary. They were delighted to teach us, and we were delighted to learn. And I think I know more, naughty Dutch words than I know any other kind of Dutch words still to this very day. So how about that, Antonio F? Antonio F's F-rated, perhaps, or Antonio F words. We could call it.
Woo! Or just watch Netflix with Portuguese subtitles, because they swear a lot on Netflix movies. The thing is, I have noticed some of the movies soften the profanity.
Do they really give it a little?
Don't actually translate. No, you'll hear the English and go woo, and you'll see the Portuguese go that wasn't what they said, but it kind of conveys the idea.
Well, that's a funny thing, isn't it? When you first come to Portugal, you're in a cafe, and they're showing, an 18 movie in the daytime because it's in the English language, perhaps on a what was that? What are those movie channels? I don't see them anymore. When I first got here and was watching more sort of cable TV, I was seeing that. I can't remember the names of them anyway. The film channels, and they'll be on the daytime in the cafe with loads of effing and jeffing going on in English. I'm sat there with my kids, and no one else in the place is batting an eyelid. And I think also, Portuguese people seem to be more relaxed and colloquial around swearing anyway. It's more of a sort of peppering of the conversation, isn't it? Rather than a way to express a lot of downright anger, which I think maybe the Brits and Americans use swearing for.
Yeah, it's almost like just another adjective sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
another
yeah.
way to express that thing not as in anger for sure. Although that happens too.
Oh,
you
for
know.
sure, for sure.
You'll hear it.
And almost a term of affection, endearment. You know, I was in a cafe and I was chatting with an elderly lady, having a coffee and a cake and chatting together as best we could. And in walks the deputy mayor, or the number 2 in the town, and she chose a very spicy word to address him with. You know, she must have been in her 70s or 80s. He's a fairly young fella, 30s or 40s. And he's a government official in the town, but she just gave him a proper Portuguese colloquialism. And like, again, no one batted an eyelid. It was just like, you know, big old bully or something like that.
Galoot.
Yeah, exactly. I was really quite shocked, but no one else was in the place there.
Well, I have another language thing, but it's not Portuguese. It's the difference between English and British. American English and British English. Because you use the word herb, and I thought, oh wait, herb. Herb is a name. It's a man's name in the United States. It's short for Herbert.
It is, isn't it?
But herb is something you put on your food. So we actually make that distinction. If we hear herb, we're going to think you're going to talk about somebody. When we hear herb, we think you're going to talk about food or seasoning. So adjustments. I've made lots of adjustments for British English at this point. But yeah.
James, if only the United States was in the European Union, then we could standardize all of these things and we wouldn't have this confusion anymore.
Yeah, and they would do like they're doing in Portugal and make it where everything's moving more toward Brazilian to accommodate that way of speaking the language, at least according to the people who are really in love with the European Portuguese language.
Yes,
I've heard great resistance to the changes. So we would, of course, if we went to a standardized English, it would be American English.
Right. And just
to annoy the Brits.
Why would you want to do that? We've got enough problems at the moment, James.
It's like, why would you go with the original language? Go with the new one and really irritate the old speakers of it. I don't know.
Yes. Just when you thought it got more simple, or simpler, I should say, showing my command of English there, it gets more complicateder. Herb is what you put in a Rizzler, James. So, oh my goodness.
See, I don't even know what a Rizzler is. So now we got more language problems. It occurred to me was that where Pete might be going with that is that another reference to herb is marijuana. So
there you go, the Mary J. That's right. The chronic, the wacky backy.
Yes. But that's more like the spices, right? It's a leafy thing.
If you buy it in certain parts of Lisbon, you're definitely going to get herbs and spices, probably oregano, bits of rabbit.
Piri herb. Woo, that stuff's hot.
Be careful. Be careful in London, wandering around asking for your American friend Herb. Okay, so let's leave it at that for the time being. Okay.
Have you seen Herb? Oh, yeah, right around the corner, man. It's in the alley.
Come here. Come over here. All right.
In the alley, Mike.
What's that? Dick Van Dyke, the drug dealer? Hello, Mary. Try some of this. It'll blow your head right off. Okay.
We never have any fun on this show. I wish we could lighten up a little bit.
Oh, the Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins.
The Mary J. Poppins.
Mary J. Poppins. I'd watch that, wouldn't you?
And her good friend Herb.
That's right. Putting the umbrella up probably means completely something different, doesn't it? Anyway.
Oh, I have no idea. I wouldn't even want to go there.
We're lost, and we need to regain some sense of normality and propriety.
That's so boring.
Well, it won't last long, don't worry. AI, until it can give you a withering look that tells you haven't done enough preparation, I'll stick with Philomena. You see, it's got a way to go, hasn't it? I've been on the receiving end of that look. We all have in some way, haven't we? So,
and the smiling, almost giggling, muito bem. I mean,
exactly.
Those are the things that motivate us. Muito bem, Carl.
Muito bem, Carlitos. Oh, I live for those moments. And even if a robot did say it to me, I knew it wouldn't mean it in quite the same way. Right?
You were just programmed to react that way.
Yeah. No, I am not. I can assure you. My algorithms are deeply considered, as you push the robot over and say, forget it. For your information, Nando's was founded in Johannesburg in the 80s before spreading around the world. Oh, I thought it was a British thing. Interesting. Okay. Well, they did take a really good idea, I think, from a visit to Portugal, possibly, or Portuguese people in South Africa, of course, cooking some churrasqueira over there and it catching on. And now it's going around the world, and they've completely influenced and infiltrated the world of peri-peri or peri-peri.
And how my mind works, I see Nando's and I go, I wonder if that's sort of a term of endearment, whether it's a surname or maybe it's a short form of Ferdinando or Fernando. That's where my brain goes with language and words and spelling.
I suspect the last bit you said there is right. That could be a Fernando changed to Nando's, and he was a, you know, if you're reverse engineering it as a PR company, you're gonna say it was one guy, aren't you, with a chicken shack, who created the most incredible chicken that people came from miles around, and now it's in 37,000 outlets around the world. So there may well be a Fernando at the beginning of that story, or Ferdinand or something of that kind. Right, February 2nd to the 4th, Carnival season is starting, as is Festival dos Amendoeiros in Flor do Algarve. Enjoy gastronomy, crafts, and music. Thank you for that shout out for that event there. The Festival das Amendoeiros in Flor do Algarve will happen in Altamura, Castro Marim municipality as well in the Algarve. Thank you very much for that. And I think an AI Philomena or a Philomeni, we could call it, couldn't we? We could just change the A at the end of Philomena to a capital, and we could come up with this program called Philomeni for Philomen AI. It would rule the world, possibly for the better. I'm up for that. I would maybe put a few quid into a share launch for that.
Yeah, if you could get her energy into an AI, that would be amazingly fantastic.
Yeah, it's a winner. Didn't think Nando's was Portuguese. It is horrid. Keep me. That terrible review. Oh, here we go. Put me in the naughty class. There you go. Put me down for the naughty class. So there is some interest in that, Antonio, if you want to teach us how to cuss and swear in Portuguese. When I was in a play, I learned that they say muito merda instead of break a leg. Yeah, that's right. And the word merda does, and going to let me just get my bleeping button. That's another one of these great Portuguese phrases, is it not? Is to, hold on, nearly there. Go and it yourself is a way of like sort yourself out, isn't it, in Portuguese as well?
Get over it. Yeah.
Get over it. That's right. Yeah. Thank you very much. That is absolutely right. Antonio F says as well.
And there's a liqueur.
There's a what?
Liqueur de merda or something like that. It's like, yeah, it's all over the place.
It's playful. It's playful.
And it's a reflection of the culture. Right? Like I've learned a lot. Well, I won't say I learned a lot, but just looking at how in Portuguese, thank you is always a putting off, like I didn't do anything important or particularly praiseworthy.
Yeah.
It was nothing, you don't have to thank me. There's no problem. Those are all ways of saying you're welcome.
Yeah.
So there's a certain humility in that response as a way of saying you're welcome. And in English, we say, you're welcome. Like, of course, I did a grand thing. So I did this. So you are welcome for that gesture.
That's right.
It's a reflection yes, it's a reflection of the culture. So when you look at why would they use a lot of shit for good luck in drama, it's like, well, it kind of is that sort of like, I don't know, the reflection of the negative is part of, I think, of what influences the humor as well. So to me, all these ways of saying things are pieces of information, informative about the culture as well. Yeah, I think it's great.
And it's more playful. And like you say, I think you were saying, and I think this is really important to see how language and culture are integrally linked. If you want to know how a country or a culture thinks, you only need to start with their language, don't you, to see how they put things together.
One and the same as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it'll tell you a lot about how a country thinks by the way it speaks. It's always a bit startling when you hear a really sweary rap in a shop. That's true as well, isn't it? A lot of these young fellas, they don't care or they don't appear to. And that's why it was so lovely to have B. Rosie on the other day. He dropped a few F-bombs, but in a very pleasant and gentle way. What a nice young fella. And I think he's concluded his tour here now in Portugal. Very good of him to pop in. Plenty of herb available when I was last. Oh, that's good. He didn't go without then, Coach Turner. See, he, as well as being at the track and training, he needs to relax as well.
But did you find herb?
No, he just went away with loads of bags of pressed bay leaf by the sound of it. We're going to find out in a minute. We've got some cooking tips from Antonio F in just a moment. Nando's was founded by someone called Fernando. There you go.
There you go.
James, he was either of Portuguese or of Portuguese descent. Excellent. And
the number one name for boys in 2023, newborn boys.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, according to Facebook, we know that's always true. So,
all right, okay, no, it's good enough for me. Next,
I didn't deep dive the research.
You didn't. That's not like you. Next AI thing will be a chip in the brain that instantly gives you all the Google info and maps. You say next. I am sure that's in a lab somewhere. That is these. Isn't that an Elon Musk thing? The embedded chip. And I don't mean potato chip, by the way, which wouldn't be a bad thing necessarily if you get peckish. In English, we say don't mention it. In America, you say you're welcome. Pam distancing herself slightly from the sentiments expressed before. Mi tomare comes from the olden days when people went to the theatre by horse and carriage, and the more horses, the more... how lovely! The derivation.
Well, there's an explanation.
And a good day. I don't have
Talk about language and culture. There it is. Boom, right there.
Right there. I don't have a single profanity in my limited Portuguese. Must have 100 words by now. Guess it's a Google search away. Yes, or join our class when we run it. And I would suggest to you, Suze, you know many more than 100 words in Portuguese. It's easy to underestimate that. I suspect you know loads more. And good morning to you. Now, let's go back to Antonio F., who says to Coach Turner, he's worried that Coach Turner may have been swindled on the streets of Lisbon. If it was being sold in the streets as hashish, most of that was probably pressed bay leaf. They tried to scam people. So if you are making a bolognese and you run out of bay leaves, that's the thing to do, isn't it? Head to Lisbon. Where?
Let me check the weed. Suddenly I want spaghetti.
I'll cook double because I'll definitely want some later. Right, okay. Now,
have you got any bay leaves? No, but I got some weed in a jar there.
And I've got some oregano. Do you mean oregano?
Both. They'd be both be great in a sauce.
Right. Now, this connects nicely to Antonio Ferreira's contribution of Portuguese restaurants with Michelin stars. We're French and Portuguese this morning. 2023 list of restaurants in Portugal awarded with Michelin stars using proper bay leaves, I suspect, not sourced from the streets of Lisbon and Rocio. 2-star restaurants. I won't go through all of them, but he's got all the 2 stars and the 1 stars there. So there's quite a few to choose from and some great names, as you would expect. Well, let's do the 2 stars because there's Alma in Lisboa, Belcanto, as you might expect, Casa da Chá, the Boa Nova, Leça de Palmeira, Il Galo de Oro in Funchal, Ocean, Porches, the Yeatman, that sounds interesting, in Vila Nova de Gaia, or Vila Nova de Gaia, and Vila Joia in Albufeira. No, they would say Vila Joia in Albufeira. Did you go there, João de Norte? Thank you for that list of Michelin restaurants over there at the Portugal Club. Now, it's nearly past and we still haven't talked about immigration fatigue.
Não há problema. Which is another way of using it, where it's literal. It's not a problem. I'm not saying you're welcome.
Okay, all right. Don't mention
it's kind of, how you say it, yes. Yeah, well.
No. Whoa. Wait a minute. Is this Immigration Fatigue Monday? So are we launching it today because it's scientifically proven to be the day when you're most likely to suffer from it?
I think they're working on that research. I think
We don't want to push it prematurely, do we?
Yeah. When we see it on Facebook, we'll know it's real.
Okay, fair enough. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. So as most things that I ponder, I've spent quite a bit of time basically looking inward, which is where I get these things that, that might apply to other folks as well. a couple of things. One is I've noticed a gradual shifting in this community over the almost 2.5 years that I've been watching and participating live. And it's moved subtly or not so subtly from a group that's primarily interested in visas and moving and all the logistical information of getting here and, you know, all that kind of stuff, to more a community that's now been here for a bit and dealing with other issues of being in Portugal, some bureaucratic, some lots about traveling and experiencing new places. And because of that, and because of my own experience, I thought this would be a great place and time to talk about something that's occurred to me directly, which goes back a little ways. There have been a few times over the last year or so where I've had a rare experience of just kind of that not really wanting to get out of bed. It's not strong in the morning, you know, it's not strong, right. It's not overwhelming. It's just sort of the normal daily excitement and positive, cheery attitude that I actually bring into my day almost every day just was missing somehow. And because of that, I said, what is that? What is that? Why is it different? Spell?
It's like,
yes. Why is it different? And what is the difference? And I notice I don't feel all that motivated. There's this kind of underlying, subtle, I don't wanna sort of energy in it. I said, what is that? That is so unusual for me.
Was it general? You don't want to do something. You don't want to do X, Y, or Z, or is it a general feeling?
Yeah, just general. Yeah, yeah, just a general. Like, ask me if I want to do anything, I'll be like, not really.
Yeah.
You know, sort of that. But it's sort of again, it's not overwhelming. It doesn't stop me. It doesn't overcome me. None of that. It's just this really subtle energy that I guess I notice it in the morning because I'm just waking up. So I'm just coming into myself and realizing things about the day ahead of me, that kind of thing. But I got to wondering about it, and so the question kind of leads to, so what is it you don't want to do? And it's like, oh, I don't want to call Seth, or oh, I don't want to send an email to IMT. Oh, I don't want to go make another pursuit. Oh, I don't want to have to figure out how to say that in Portuguese. All these things that, and I want to say, this is not meant to be a whine or complaint. It's just an observation of my own experience, like what's going through me, because I think it will be informative and relevant to other members of the community who have been here a couple of years and in this process. And I hear it in the descriptions of things people are doing. You know, Bob and Viv talking about they're getting their appointment for their immigration renewal. I've been going through that as well. So all of this. And I said, yeah, there's a real resistance to even initiating the email because I have this idea, I know what I'm going to expect, which is no response or a standardized response that doesn't address my issue. It's like, so why bother? You know, there's just this feeling.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. There's just this feeling of it. And there are many, many differences culturally. And I was looking, I've said bureaucracy is bureaucracy. It's a pain in the ass wherever you are. You know, this same Mexican friend has been in France, been in Italy, Mexico, United States. Every time there's a complaint about the bureaucracy, it might be something different about the specifics of it, but most people don't enjoy the process. So I was looking at, well, what is it? First of all, at least I was exposed to and experienced and trained in American bureaucracy, so it didn't upset me so much. You know, right. you just become insensitive to it. But the bureaucracy in Portugal was a twist on that. It was something different. And I said, well, what's the difference? And for me, the difference is that in Portugal, when you need to get something done bureaucratically, you can't forget about it. You can't let it go. It's not like, okay, I'll make in the United States, making an appointment, for instance. My experience is mostly you're going to get people. If you have a phone number, someone's going to answer. You're not going to get just no answer on a customer service phone number. It's just not going to happen. You may get an idiot at the other end. You may get someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. You may get wrong information, but you're going to get someone who's going to answer the phone. If you send an
answer at some point, yeah.
Yes. Well, even not, and usually it's within 10 rings. I mean, it's like they got switchboards. They're gonna answer those phones, and so you're gonna get someone, which means that you'll probably be able to make an appointment if you're calling a number for help with an appointment. So you'll get an appointment. Now that appointment may be 10 years down the road, and you have to put it on your calendar and remember it. But you'll have an appointment.
Yes.
But in Portugal, you have to keep calling and calling and calling, or online again and again and again and again, over and over and over. And you can't let it go. You have to do it today and tomorrow and the next day, for however long it takes for someone to answer the phone or respond to it or to get a reaction online to be able to do what you need to do. So you can't, for me, it was like, oh, I can't rest. Even in between things, I have to remember to do that, remember to do that, remember to do that, remember to do that. And I said, what is that like? And I said, it's kind of like someone just poking you in the shoulder all the time, never stopping. Well, just, or even to annoy you, like, or whatever it is, you know? And it just keeps
another analogy from today, like somebody trying to sell you bay leaves on Rossio Square, whispering behind you. Yeah.
Hey buddy. Yeah. But and at first it's kind of like, huh? And you don't pay much attention to it. But if it just keeps happening, it's not painful. It just gets to be annoying and frustrating and aggravating and conscious continually. And I think this process of, because I keep waiting for to be done. Okay, once I get this done, then I can, and it's like, oh no, now I need to do this. Well, once I get that done, then no, I need to do that. And more than just day-to-day life, like, okay, I'll learn to speak Portuguese when, you know, whatever. It's like things that need to get done, you know, everything needs to get done. So then it's prioritizing and all of that. So there's this constantly moving list of things that need to get done that just doesn't feel like it's ever going to stop, which if you project into the future can wear on you. And this is what I'm talking about, just sort of the weight and the energy drain of all of these things leads to what I eventually said, okay, I'm going to call this something. But in addition to that, everything you're doing is in a new language. So that is another challenge. So you have a challenge in doing something that used to be easy. Now it's not as easy because it's in a language. Plus you have the cultural differences. So it's more difficult because you don't understand the culture, or it doesn't work the way you think it is, or you don't know even what to anticipate. And I'm just trying to think, there's just so many examples of where things are more difficult. And again, I feel the need to repeat this. I'm not complaining. I love being here. I wake up 95% of the time. I'm in a fantastic mood and love the fact that I'm here. And I don't always have the I don't feel like it or I don't want to feeling. It's just in these moments when I notice, I check into it, what's going on, because it's impacting how I feel and how I behave in my day. I don't want to be influenced by external things. I want to make choices about how I live my life. So that's why I'm looking at it. And I notice these details. And I think as I speak, I'm guessing many people have been through this, can relate to it, and they understand.
Well, there are comments coming in and people do understand it. I definitely understand it. I've already given it a hashtag. It's Portugal immigration fatigue, or for short, which is the feeling I think you get. And it really is something. You have hit upon something here. I didn't know you were going to be saying this, and I am going to launch it. It is officially Immigration Fatigue Monday, the 29th. It will always be known as such.
Every 5th Monday of January.
If there is one. If
there is right. One. Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's not going to happen all that often, I don't think. At a maximum once a year.
Well, let's have a look at some comments. And also, we've got to come back to your mindful migration. We'll finish with your mindful migration, or mindful moment and mindful dad joke, and a visual one we've got as well. Let's see some responses to what you're saying, and let's maybe consider what we might be able to do about it, because it's definitely something I've come across, experienced personally, and do have a suggestion about. Colleen has joined us since we were talking. Good morning. Oh, and thanks, Pete, as well. Let's get that lovely video up of the Colosseum there. Hola, feliz segunda-feira from Colleen. Morning to you, Colleen.
Hola, Colleen.
Sarah says, I think there is a combination of me wanting to see something new and also wanting to have the familiar around me sometimes. Absolutely. That's very human nature, isn't it? A slight malaise, Susie's calling it. I blame winter. Spring will energize us. I suspect
Well, I would blame winter too, except this occurred in the summer, so...
But still blame winter.
Yeah, well,
damn you, winter.
It's all the blame.
It's the winter lag. I agree, Sue, says Squire the Show. Morning, Squire. The excitement of the new and the dread of the new. It can be both. Of course it can. It's the human mind and emotions are, they're stallions, white stallions rearing up and tearing you in all sorts of directions. I find UK bureaucracy infuriating, says Pam. It's also impossible to speak to a real person.
That real person again.
Here, for most things, you can actually go somewhere and speak to a live person. Well, that's right. That is right. And that's how Portuguese do it, isn't it? Admittedly, I've had limited dealings with Seth, of course. A new roof here's a case of it, probably right now. A new roof was supposed to start today. No response to text. I surrender. But it will get done. One moment, frustration, the next. Oh, whatever. Thank you, Mrs. M. Cup of coffee.
Yeah, and that's a great point. You know, when there's a deadline, I experience it much more. If there's no deadline, I just take the Portuguese attitude. It'll get done. No worry. Yeah. But if I have to have it done by a certain date and I can't even get someone on the phone, then it starts raising anxiety levels.
Of course. Waiting for my operation was the worst. Health, obviously, when it's health. Deadlines and health, of course. It did happen within the time frame they gave me, but day-to-day waiting for a date was awful. I'm glad that you've been able to put that behind you, Pam. All the rules have changed since you were last advised. There's another
curve. It was actually in my notes for today. Yeah, it's like trying to hit a moving target.
Yeah, you didn't come to Portugal for a faster pace of life. Pete's gone to the fixing and helpful suggestions. The weather seems to have an effect on me. The better it is, the bluer the sky, the happier and more motivated I am. Yeah.
And there's science to support that too.
Yeah, we just know it, don't we? As soon as we feel that Portuguese sun on our bones. The presence of goats. I read that as ghosts, first of all. The presence of goats in this field or waiting for them to cross the road always brightens my day. Lovely. And Pinky, I figure if business doesn't answer their calls, they don't need the business. Yes, Seth. But
if it's a government that's saying you have to do this by now or we're going to kick you out of the country or fine you, it's a little different story.
Yeah. So I don't give them mine if I have other options. Yeah.
Yes.
Point taken.
I agree.
Yeah. If it sure does, Squire looks at the sky in this video. I said to Di, you never see that blue in January in the UK. She said, nor in summer. The only thing
day, maybe
that lovely day where every Englishman tears his shirt off.
Remember that day back in
76? It was 76. I was there.
Yes, I think that's the one. Yeah.
The only thing faster in Portugal is the driving, suggests Antonio F. So I know you wouldn't alert us to this condition, to the Portugal immigration fatigue, which is officially recognized by scientists.
Well, and I'm almost positive it's not limited to Portugal.
Of course,
I think this would be almost any immigrant's experience with a new language. I think if it was in your native language, it would be easier. But the language definitely makes everything more difficult because you don't have a grip of the language yet, and you don't know how to communicate what you need to communicate.
Yep, and I suggest you wouldn't be sharing this with us just to tell us of the downside without giving us some help on how to deal with it, James. Which will be a shock if you say to me now, I've no idea what to do about this. So goodbye. Have a nice week.
Yes. Okay, and I'll leave you with that. And let's see, next Monday, the first Monday in February will be Figure It Out Monday. Yes.
Good luck, everybody.
Enjoy your week. No, you know me so well. Yes, I really, when I have the time, I always have some ideas on, so what can I do about this? For me, the magic is always in gratitude. It's always in breath. I mean, that is my default at this point. I practice it so much that when I notice this malaise, it's like, oh, I don't want to. It's like, okay, figure it out. So I did that. That's the notice, right? There it is. I mean, I'm not, it wasn't like a list I go through. Okay, notice first. All right, what am I noticing? Okay, now choose. I don't do that. I just go through the process. I think we all do at some point. So I'm noticing I have this feeling, and it's like, okay, so if I want to understand myself better, what's that about? Okay, now I'm looking at that, and I say, oh yeah, it's this sense of this specific thing. I didn't want to do that, and why I didn't want to do it is because I anticipate it's going to be as difficult as it's been for the previous 3 weeks. I've been trying to get it done. So then it's like, what do you want to do about that? It's like, well, I think before I get into any other choices, I'm going to choose to breathe and look at what I'm grateful for, because that always brings me back here and now into what's, I'm talking about real people, what's real. You know, all this stuff is anticipation. It could go better than it's ever gone in a totally unexpected way. I don't know. I'll find out. But I don't need to go into my day with that anxiety or aggravation or whatever it is. So I take a deep breath. And as I exhale, I say, what are you grateful for in this moment? And almost always for the last 2.5 years, I'm in freaking Portugal. You know, what are you grateful for? Really, that you can hold in your heart, not that you say rotely, like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this. I should be feeling better. No, you have to feel it. You have to feel the honesty of it. You have to feel the embrace of the thing you're grateful for. Then, you know, it's going to impact how you feel. And then I'll go through a list of those. I'm grateful that I have the capacity to get out of bed, that I'm healthy, that, you know, whatever I'm grateful for. So I'm grateful that I'm learning.
Take the breath you just did. I mean, that's not
Yes,
everyone's privilege, is it? An honor, is it?
absolutely. And we take so much for granted that we forget to be grateful for the simple things, really. So that's where I start, and that always gets me back on track. And then from there, usually there's something like, you know, it'll get done. It'll all be fine. And not just a way to try to run away from the challenge of it. Some people say, oh, it'll be fine, because they don't want to look at the challenge. But you know, sincerely, it's like, it may not get done in time. It may not get done the way I'm being told it has to get done, but it will get done. And what do I know about Portugal? What else do I know about Portugal? And that is, usually if it's on them, they own it. We didn't have anyone to answer the phone. So of course you couldn't have an appointment. So of course we're not going to kick you out of the country because you haven't renewed your residency. Yeah. You know, and as someone made a comment a couple of weeks ago, they said, oh, the government at some point, they'll just basically forgive everyone and say, now everybody's in, you know, and it wouldn't surprise me, you know. So reminding myself of that, reminding myself of where I am, you know, getting grounded, getting centered. Then I might look at, why am I trying to do what I'm trying to do? Why would I do that? Why would I put myself through the challenge of that? And the answer is, so I can be here.
Yeah.
You know, this is what's necessary. If I want to get from point A to point B, I have to move toward point B. I just have to. Otherwise, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah.
So I don't have to like it, but why am I, if I want to be more motivated, I'm doing it for a positive reason. I'm doing it for positive outcome.
Yeah. You don't have to like
it. That's why I'm doing it.
And that's really important, I think, James, with these things is, like, it's fine, isn't it? It sucks. Some of these things are really stupid. I mean, not just in
Portugal. It's just a pain in the ass. For me, it's mostly that.
Yeah, and it's, you can see, can't you? This is a terrible way to do this, and it needs to be done. So let's just get on with it, shall we?
If I were in charge of the world, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there's a little bit of comfort, isn't there? And this is just really ridiculous, but it's like, it is like it is. I mean, my distinction with these things is, you know, the beauty, the gratitude, what we love is life, is more about life. And then there are these things, aren't there, to do with living. And that's the kind of rent we pay as human beings in our culture, and a civilization that we live in. Some of it has got really stupid, and we still have to do it anyway. And you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to like it, but you do have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to make more problems for yourself.
Well, the thing is, you don't have to do it. But if you see, this is the notice, choose, and act thing. It's like, I can choose not to do it. I don't have to. And there's power in understanding that, to really owning that there's nothing I have to do.
Yep.
It's just I may not like the consequences of making that choice. And if I don't do it and I have to leave the country, I'm going to be very unhappy with myself. So I'm going to make the choice to get it done. Okay, so you're choosing. You're not a victim.
Yes.
The only reason you have to do it is you chose to be here and you continue to choose to be here. So you're not a victim. So
and, if you want to continue to be here, there are certain things you must do. Yeah, that's right.
So it's like, okay, and to make it a more positive motivation, it's like, I'm doing it to get that. You know, I'm staying through winter so that I can experience spring. That's why, you know, what, and I love winter too, but I'm just saying the feeling of it, that sense of it, there's a reason that you're doing what you're doing. And we tend to forget that because of the challenges we're facing getting the things done.
We can get bogged down. We can get bogged down in that, can't we? T-Duck is here. Bon dia, I've been listening while working. Good to have you here. Talking of pain, says Pete, in a certain part of the anatomy, we have to take us. Oh, really? What? Well, if anyone wants to speak to that, if you are needing to convey some of your waste products,
did they want a 3-legged or a 4-legged stool?
Both of which are available from IKEA.
Here's a sample of my stool. It's a piece of wood.
This is like, we need to get you in immediately. Get this man an ambulance.
Yes. Man, that is. Are you eating furniture?
That must be really painful. That's a splinter. Right. Now, IKEA, talking of IKEA, they have an incredible sense of humor, it would appear. They have been putting up posters of their furniture, a particular cupboard, apparently, or shelving system, might have been the Billy cupboards. Very useful for storing books, and certain amounts of money that allegedly certain folks in the government were storing in one of these cabinets, which caused Antonio Costa in some way to step down. Very good, IKEA. Well done. Very funny. And that's the Portuguese sense of humor there, I think. It was probably a Portuguese interpretation of IKEA's Swedish sense of humor there. And we have that in this mix that we're talking about today as well. And I go to Pinky's comment here. Customer service is so bad here anyway. I don't know where you're living, Pinky. I feel pretty sure that I won't notice much of a difference in Portugal. The thing about the difference is
pretty sure you will.
Well, you'll have bad customer service from really nice people. Would you say that's fair? Yeah.
And you'll have some good customer service too, but it'll still be different. That's the main thing. You'll notice a difference.
All right. Also chipping in, I think there is magic too in having friends.
My next point. Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Put it on the tee. Knock it down the fairway, James.
That's right. That was the very next thing. So it's a great cue. Thank you. And that's to remember that I'm not alone. I don't have to do this by myself. Even if, in my case, I'm here solo, no family, no friends from the past here, but new friends. And new friends are being very helpful. I've created a life around myself by being proactive and being so happy with being here that I can find help. If nothing else, just for someone to be able to just go, say, excuse me, can I just sort of emotionally vomit for a minute? Sure. So, thank you very much. I'm not alone. And that's helpful too, having people who will listen, having people who understand. Talking about this on this show today, there's the whole community that we have here. So not being alone, there's a tremendous power and strength in that. And I believe that's the power of group therapy, is you really discover, oh, I'm not alone in this thing I'm facing. Yeah, there's all these people who had similar, not exactly the same experience, but we're all facing challenges around it. There's something comforting in that. So remembering that we're not alone. For me, having checklists, because it feels like it never stops. It feels like you're not. So if you got 10 things on the list, every time you do something, it just feels like nothing's happening. So having a checklist, at least a mental, well, I got that done. I got that. I have my driver's license. It took me 20 months. It was a pain in the ass, but I now have it. That's off the checklist. I don't have to do that anymore until, of course, it expires in 6 months, so I have to renew it. But, so having a checklist so that you can see the progress you're making. I did that, I did that, I did that. And then you're going to add. All right, I did that, add, and did that. So it's just a ticking list.
It's the same part of the mind, isn't it? I think the mind that suffers from this syndrome you're talking about is also impressed or impacted by a little pat on the back as well. Look, you did that. Look, you did that as well. It's the same sort of faculty.
Yeah. And it goes with that notice, choose, and act. The challenge they added, not officially, but they added after you notice, and then you choose, and then you act. Celebrate. Yeah. I did it. Yay, pat on the back. I got that done. I did that. So yes, that feels important to me.
Very interesting parallel conversation going on with losing having a purse wallet stolen in Spain there. Thank you for that, T-Duck. And Sue's, another tangent here. I made an old standard upside down pineapple cake, gave some to the neighbors via Google Translate. Don't know if they have upside down cakes here, or they thought Google Translate missed them up. Wouldn't that be funny if you say, look, here's my upside down cake in Portuguese, and the Portuguese neighbors say, well, despite that, it's really lovely, thank you. It's a mistake of some sort.
Why didn't you just turn it over?
Yeah, right. But don't say anything, Joel. It's a really nice cake. Okay. I would add to this as well, along similar lines. This is something that I wrote in the Portugal Resident. Like, why can you, obviously obligatory pastel de nata picture, because I think I mentioned the condition of peak pastel. And why retire when you can aspire? The 3 stages I've got in the life cycle or timeline is the what's what, which is the bit you mentioned before, James. What's what is what you need in the early bits, isn't it? And I think you made a really good point about where this community is, generally speaking. A lot of people have done the worst of the what's what, all the humps, the hoops and humps that you needed to face. And then what I think goes along with what you're talking about, the immigration fatigue, is part of the what now stage. It's like, you've eaten all your pastel de natas and ticked a lot of boxes in terms of what you wanted to do here. And part of that malaise, I think, is like, oh, this is it. What do I do now? Apart from renew my residency and those sorts of things, which you don't.
I'm excited to find out. I want to get to that stage.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think what can help is conceiving of or visualizing the next step that I've put there, which is what next. And I think that can pull you out of the malaise as well. That's something in the distance to, what will I do next here? I've done plan B. I did a new plan B.
It's a part of that. Why am I doing this? To get there, so they're definitely related. Yeah. The last one that I put down, and not necessarily the last thing there is, but and we're talking about what can I do about this immigration fatigue, and taking breaks is important. Yeah. I really believe it. Giving yourself permission to take a breath, even though this feels like there's more things going on the list faster than you're getting them off. It's important to get out of that stress and anxiety and challenge. I mean, we can't. I got a sports analogy, and then I lost. Like, well, how's the connection? But we can't perform at an intense level
all the time,
long term. Yeah, right? Yeah. We need to take a break. We need to let our bodies recover, and then move on. So for me, it's a function of understanding that everything's not going to get done right now anyway. Yeah, I've been doing this. There's my checklist. I've done these 3 or 4 things. I'll just take the rest of the day off. I'll get back to the list tomorrow, or whatever it takes to kind of take a breath, relax, recharge. And that's the power of being here now. Like the list, you're there with the list, or you're there with the things you need to do, and it's intense and it's challenging and it's fatiguing. So now take a break and be with the break. Don't be in the break thinking about all the things you need to get done. Like, be there in the break, enjoying the Portuguese sunshine, enjoying your friends, enjoying the fact that you are here and everything you're doing is to be able to remain here and continue this lifestyle. And the concluding comment came from last week, where someone defined courage as being able to just sometimes just say, I'll try again tomorrow.
Well
And that
said.
really, it's really powerful.
And what
statement.
you just described, mate, is what Portuguese people do. It's lunchtime. It is lunchtime. We're shut now. We're going for lunch. We're going to eat lunch. We're going to be together, and we'll be back later, courageously after lunch. And this is another thing, along those lines, culturally. Just to conclude here, because we need to do your mindful moment and mindful dad joke. Sarah says,
Definitely need that.
Maybe all the slow processes keep the other qualities about Portugal that we love. And I think that you could say, could you not, Sarah, what if what is wrong about it is right about it? And I think these things do go together.
Cause or effect.
Yeah, it's all part of a big, I don't know, what is it, a karmic soup or something. And it's like, in many ways, although there might over time be some sense of improved efficiency, and things could be done to certain people's opinions and judgments better, it all comes together, doesn't it? It's an entirety. It doesn't help to just cherry pick the things you do and don't like. It probably is wiser to see this as one great big Portuguese sopa de dia that we love, and occasionally there's a chewy, gristly bit, but mostly it's delicious and lovely, and that's what we tend to focus on. So, James, great job on that. I'll make a little segment of the officially launched Immigration Fatigue Monday, the 5th Monday of every year now, and we shall be famous and forever known by scientists debunking the theory.
Well, and I think it helps to name it. Now it's like, oh, these things I'm feeling, I can call it something. So now I have an idea of how I can treat it. I mean, that's sort of the medical model, but you have to identify what's going on and then define what that means, and then look at how do I make it better? How do I heal it?
Yep, absolutely right. And laws of 1 and 3. I was reminded by Lord Gilchrist's law of 3. If you've got a bit of bureaucracy to do, you'll probably have to go 3 times. Plan for that. And Sarah, very good, very measured. We aim to do only 1 thing a day. It works mostly. So that's a good bit of advice as well. And look at this, James, that you sent me. You should take responsibility for
a
this.
Good old-fashioned dad joke.
Go on. What do you call
it's been a while
that makes okay products, James?
Let me think about that. I think I would call it a satisfactory.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, let's see if we can improve on that.
Probably not.
You'd hope it wouldn't be too difficult to improve on that.
It's a low bar, yes.
Mindful moment then. What you
got? From Wayne Dwyer, if you don't like the way something looks, change the way you look at it.
Right, and that works for the conversation we've just had, doesn't it?
That's right, and that's wisdom of the ages. There's virtually nobody who said really meaningful things has not mentioned that piece of it. It's all about how we look at it.
And it's the only thing you can change, right? Sorry, there's an incoming call there. It's the only thing you can change.
Olá, bom dia.
Oh, desculpa.
Tudo bem?
Tudo bem. I'm on my live stream at the moment. You're on the Good Morning Portugal show, so I'll have to call you back afterwards. Desculpa.
Olha, eu só estou a ligar aqui do Eurobic, que temos aqui 16
Oh, I'm so sorry. That wasn't meant to happen. I need to put the phone down. I'm so sorry. That's embarrassing, James. I'll have to ring that lady back away afterwards. Oh, it's my lady at my bank. I feel really doubly bad now. Okay. I'm going to ring it back up. That was awful.
Thank you for bringing life into the real life into the life of this show.
Thank you, Urabik Meliada. I will call you back after the show. So then, your mindful dad joke.
My Zen master told me, do the opposite of what I tell you. So I didn't.
No, wrong sound effect.
You liked it.
Well, that's suitably random, isn't it? Very good. Oh, great job today, James. Take good care. We'll see you next Monday, of course, for more mind. We'll probably pick this theme up, won't we? And continue, I think, talking about this wonderful idea that you've shared with us here. So great job. Have a great day, and we'll extend that to everybody. And we shall be back again in the morning, of course. Would you like a final word, or do you think you said enough already? You've done enough damage?
I have done enough. I always have something more to say, but just encourage people in the community to offer their suggestions about how they manage it, or questions about, I've struggled dealing with this, whatever. It's helpful to have input from our community as well.
Lovely. Okay, and I'm going to post something up. When I've made the segment, we'll post it up on the Portugal Club as well. We'll have a little bit of a chat about it over there. Great job, mate. Take care. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.
Bom dia, Portugal! In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.